Welcome. This Shabbat, we are in the portion of Ki-Tavo, Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 9 through chapter 29, verse 8. The portion of Ki-Tavo presents to us the commandments of the first fruits in Hebrew, Bikurim. The commandment of first fruits is a request from the Creator to gather the initial yield. The first produce, the primary growth that emerges from the field or tree that was planted. The question arises, what did the Almighty choose as the initial act upon the Israelites' entry into the land? The first thing discussed is the planting of trees and the bringing of fruits. One of the answers to this is that up until now, the children of Israel were in the desert, and all their needs were provided by the heavens, a stage of constant receiving from above, from God. The manna was there for them to collect daily for food. Water was supplied to them by God's miracles. Now, with the Israelites entering the land that God had given them, they transitioned from a state of receiving to a reality of separation, giving, and action. They go through a stage of maturity with responsibility and choice. Therefore, upon entering the promised land, the Holy Land, they ascend a level and now have the power to plant trees, to create sustenance and fulfill their needs. They take on the responsibility of working the land, being connected with God. In this responsibility, there is partnership with the divine through the work of the earth, particularly in the physical world. This teaches us that even within the material world, there is a presence of holiness and the wonder of the divine. Even in the creation of fruits and sustenance, seemingly simple and natural, we must remember that it is our creation with the blessing of God. Whether the harvest succeeds or fails, we are in the midst of the labor of the land and agriculture. Especially in Israel, we are invited to be conscious of shared action with the blessing of God. For instance, bread doesn't grow by itself, yet its blessing is who brings forth bread from the earth. This implies the partnership and contribution of combining forces in creation. The children of Israel are required to elevate their work in partnership with the divine. And because daily activity might cause us to forget the essence of things, the source of everything, we are obligated by the commandment of first fruits. We shouldn't reap all the material and physical successes for ourselves at the end of the process. You shouldn't be blinded by the outcomes and hold them solely to our credit. Rather, at the end of the process and upon seeing the final result, we are required to remember the beginning. And what is at the beginning? God gave and created everything through His Word. The promised land is not necessarily a paradise. Instead, it comes with the directive, when you come to the land, don't wait for something to happen. In this land, you have work to do, you have to act, to do, to create. You need to agree to partnership with the Creator, to plant trees, to be active and engaged in reality. There is a partnership that the land brings and maturity with it. A connection to the Creator from receiving to action. The ability to be independent comes with the responsibility of consent to planting and caring for my needs. And the commandment first fruits is a tale of a new land. And the priest in the temple, when you bring your fruits forward, recounts the past, how the past relates to the new trial now. The priest, who conveys the history of the past, teaches us that sometimes there is a certain state in the past that contains a sum of emotions and struggles. There might be sort of what was or what we did, but it's not enough to regret. There's a need for processing, understanding, and change based on the experience that remains within us from the past story. We need to go through a process of acceptance and learning about what we did, what was, and what we will change from what we did in the past. We need to learn to repair and renew. The commandment of first fruits is an additional tool that we receive. It is our ability and opportunity alongside the arrival of new successful produce to remember what we had in the past. We can then process the past and renew with the new story we're beginning here in the Holy Land every season. We need to remember the past not because it should remain our main story, but to remember the beginning. Based on this reflection, we'll know where we started and what the roots of things are that we elevate in our lives with a connection to God and God's service. To remember the root of roots. To be able to tell the new story that arises from recognizing the good that we've already experienced. We are who we are because of our past experiences. We've learned, grown, and we have a root and a beginning that provides growth and development. The commandment of first fruits reveals that there's a dimension that necessitates the planting of a new story. Only when we begin to create a new story can we allow the previous story to rest. We learn how to enter the land, and we create a new tomorrow, not just reenacting but renewing. The Almighty provides us with a powerful tool for renewal. Just as nature has 4 seasons, the heart also experiences 4 seasons. We must know how to plan new stories in our lives through closeness and partnership with the divine. Blessing and abundance to you. See you in the next video. Until then, dear friends,